G'day everyone, and welcome to the first ever Down Under Angler.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into something that's got Aussie anglers all fired up.
Okay.
Shimano Expride rods.
All right.
They've been making waves in that JDM scene for a while now.
Yeah.
But they're finally available down under.
Yeah, they are.
And I know a lot of you are keen to find out if they live up to all the hype. For all the different kinds of fishing we do here in Australia, we've got a whole bunch of stuff to look at today. YouTube reviews from the pros, all the manufacturer specs, even a rival podcast script we found.
Wow.
So let's crack this one open and see what we got.
Okay.
One thing that really jumped out at me was just how much Shimano talks about the design and all the testing that went into these rods.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. They're really committed to getting it right.
Yeah, and I was reading that one of their Japanese engineers,
Right.
Mr. Kuroda, I think his name was,
Yeah.
he calls the Expride rods his right arm.
His right arm. That's some serious dedication right there.
I know. That really says something, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, are these rods really that special?
Yeah, it makes you wonder.
And another thing I noticed, they recently did a bit of a redesign, right?
They did.
Went from that glossy finish to a matte finish.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Makes you think, is that just for looks, or is there something more to it?
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Maybe the matte finish helps cut down on glare. You know how harsh the Aussie sun can be?
Yeah, good point. Especially for those long days out on the water.
Or maybe it's about grip.
Yeah.
A matte finish could give you a better hold, especially when your hands get wet.
You're thinking practically.
Yeah,
I like it.
gotta be practical out there.
Well, let's dive into the real nitty-gritty here. Sensitivity. I mean, everyone's raving about this carbon monocoque handle.
Mhm.
Sounds pretty high-tech. What's the deal with that?
So it's this hollow carbon construction, and Shimano reckons it transmits vibrations way better, like 30% better than a traditional handle.
Wow, 30%. That's got to make a difference.
Imagine you're chasing bream in a quiet estuary. They're light biters, those bream.
Yeah.
Or you're trying to feel that subtle tap, tap, tap of a Murray cod taking your lure.
Right, deep down.
That extra sensitivity could be the difference between going home empty-handed or landing a trophy fish.
Yeah, I could see that extra edge.
Yeah.
Now, another term that pops up everywhere is high power X blank construction.
Right.
Is this actually something special, or is it just marketing hype?
It's definitely more than just a fancy name.
Okay, good.
With High Power X, you've got this unique cross-weave of carbon fibers.
Okay.
It basically reinforces the blank and reduces twist.
Okay.
What that means for you is more accurate casts, better lure control.
Right.
Think about casting into tight pockets for bara or presenting a lure just right for a fussy flathead.
Yeah.
Accuracy is key in those situations.
It's all about precision.
It is.
And top it all off, they haven't skimped on the components either.
They haven't.
Fuji sees guides, CI4 plus reel seats.
Yeah.
It's like they've built a premium car for your fishing line.
Exactly. You're getting top shelf gear here. Fuji guides are known for their durability and sensitivity, and those CI4 plus reel seats.
Yeah.
Super lightweight. Plus, they enhance those vibrations even more.
They really haven't cut any corners, have they?
Nope.
But this is where I start getting a bit overwhelmed. There's so many Expride models.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Where do we even begin?
Don't worry, we won't go through every single one.
Okay, good.
Let's focus on a few that really stand out for us Aussie anglers.
Right.
First up, let's look at the casting rods. There's the 163L BFS. Now, this one's designed for something called bait finesse,
Bait finesse.
or BFS for short.
BFS. Is that a new thing?
It's gaining popularity worldwide,
Okay.
including here in Australia.
Yeah.
You basically use a bait casting setup
Okay.
to cast those ultralight lures.
Mhm.
Opens up a whole new world of finesse fishing.
Interesting. So what kind of Aussie species would you be targeting with this BFS setup?
Well, bream are the obvious choice. You can present tiny soft plastics and hard bodies with incredible accuracy, and you'll feel every nibble. But it's not just limited to bream.
No.
You could try it for bass, trout, even flathead.
So it's versatile.
It is.
Perfect for those light biters we often get here.
Exactly.
Now, what about those anglers who want to go after something a bit bigger?
Something with some teeth.
Yeah, the tough guys. Do the Exprades have something for them?
Absolutely. On the other end of the spectrum, we've got the 166 XHSB.
All right, what's that one all about?
This one is a beast, designed for throwing big swim baits for Murray cod
Oh, yeah.
or wrestling barra out of heavy cover.
Yeah.
It can handle those brutal fights, no problem.
So it's a powerhouse.
built tough.
But what about the angler who's somewhere in between? Not quite finesse fishing, but not chucking giant swim baits either.
Yeah, the in-betweeners.
What would you recommend for them?
The 170 mg might be just the ticket.
Okay.
It's a glass composite rod,
Right.
which gives it a different feel compared to those pure carbon fiber ones.
Okay, and how's that different?
The glass makes it a bit more forgiving, great for crankbait fishing.
Yeah.
You get that classic parabolic bend, and it's a bit easier to cast and control.
So good for beginners, maybe.
Yeah, or anyone who prefers that more traditional feel.
Okay, cool. So we've covered the casting rods. What about the spinning rods?
Oh, they've got a pretty impressive lineup, too.
Yeah.
One that stands out is the 259 UL. This is an ultralight rod, perfect for those really delicate presentations.
I'm picturing a crystal clear mountain stream chasing trout.
Exactly. Or maybe targeting those finicky bream in shallow estuaries.
Beautiful.
This rod will make those experiences even more enjoyable.
Sounds idyllic.
It is.
Now, what about something with a bit more versatility? For the angler who wants to cover a wider range of techniques, target different species.
Yeah, I gotcha.
What would you go for?
The 263 LS. This is a great all-rounder, perfect for light, soft plastics,
Okay.
finesse presentations for flathead.
Mm-hmm.
You could even target snapper in shallow reefs with this one.
A real workhorse.
It is. It can handle a lot of different Aussie fishing scenarios.
Yeah, that's what we need down here.
Right.
Now, for the anglers who want a bit more grunt in their spinning rod,
Yeah, for the big boys.
something to handle those heavier conditions, bigger fish.
You want the 270 MH plus LA.
Okay, what makes that one so special?
The MH plus means it packs a surprising amount of power for a spinning rod.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's suitable for those heavier presentations.
Okay.
Battling big snapper, targeting those hard-fighting salmon, this rod's up for it.
So, they've got us covered from ultralight to heavy duty.
Covered.
But specs on paper are one thing.
Yeah.
What are anglers actually saying about these rods out in the real world?
Well, we've got reviews from some big names in fishing, guys like JP DeRose and Tyler Brinks. They've been putting these rods through their paces, and the feedback is overwhelmingly positive.
All right, well, let's dive into their experiences and see if those specs actually translate into real-world performance.
Let's do it. JP DeRose, he's a big fan of that carbon monocoque handle.
Yeah.
He reckons it transmits vibrations like nothing he's ever used before.
Wow.
Says he can feel even the faintest little taps from those finicky fish.
It really does deliver on that sensitivity then.
It does.
What about Tyler Brinks? What did he have to say?
He's been using the solid tip Exprides for minnow shaking.
Minnow shaken. Oh,
It's getting really popular, especially with all this forward-facing sonar gear around.
hold on. For those who might not know, what exactly is forward-facing sonar?
It's like having an underwater camera on your boat.
Okay.
You can see what's right in front of you. It's a
Oh.
game changer.
Yeah.
You can actually see the fish, see how they're reacting to your lures.
So with this minnow shaking technique, you're using the sonar to find the fish.
Yep.
And then the solid tip of the Expride helps you get that subtle action, those little movements on the lure without spooking them.
Exactly. You got it.
Clever.
And Tyler's been having a lot of success with it, too.
That's awesome.
Catching some impressive fish that he might have missed otherwise.
It sounds like these Exprides are really well suited to these modern techniques then,
They are.
not just your traditional casting and retrieving.
Not anymore.
We've talked a lot about individual models, but zoom out for a sec.
Okay.
Overall, how do these rods perform in all the different Aussie environments?
They're pretty versatile.
Yeah.
Like we've seen, they do well for finesse fishing and those heavy-duty situations.
Yeah.
And don't forget about the two-piece models.
Oh, yeah, the two-piece.
Lifesaver for those who like to travel.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Especially if you're, hiking into those remote spots.
Exactly.
One thing that comes up a lot in the reviews is how light and balanced these rods are.
Yeah, that's a big advantage,
Yeah.
especially when you're out on the water all day.
You get tired.
You do. Fatigue can really set in, but a lightweight, well-balanced rod, that makes a world of difference.
Yeah, it can save your wrists.
Yeah.
And let's be honest,
What?
they look pretty good too.
They do.
They've got that cool factor.
The matte black finish, those premium components.
Yeah. Nice.
But looks aside,
Yeah.
the big question is, are they worth the investment?
That's the million-dollar question. What do you reckon?
Well, they are a premium product, but Shimano's commitment to quality and innovation, you can't deny it.
Right?
You think about the sensitivity, the casting performance, the versatility, the overall quality.
Yeah.
I think the Expride series offers exceptional value for money.
So not just a flashy purchase,
Nope.
but a long-term investment.
Exactly, an investment in your fishing.
And when you compare them to other rods in that price range, do
Yeah.
they stack up?
The Exprides really stand out. Features, performance, the whole package.
Okay, so we've established they're pretty amazing.
They are.
But let's play devil's advocate for a minute.
Okay.
Are there any downsides?
Good question.
Are there situations where an Expride might not be the best choice?
That extreme sensitivity,
Yeah.
while it's a huge advantage most of the time, it could actually be a bit overwhelming in some situations.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Imagine you're fishing in really rough conditions, strong currents, choppy water.
Yeah.
All those bumps and vibrations from the water,
Yeah.
they get amplified by that carbon monocoque handle.
Right.
It might be hard to tell the difference between a bite and just the background noise.
So it's like having a super sensitive microphone. Picks up every little sound,
Exactly.
even the ones you don't want to hear.
In those situations, a slightly less sensitive rod might actually be a better choice.
Okay, yeah.
You'd still get good feel, good feedback, but you wouldn't be bombarded by all that extra noise.
Makes sense.
Okay.
So it's really about choosing the right tool for the job,
It is.
considering the conditions.
Always.
Now, let's talk about the grip for a minute.
Okay.
That's the point of contact between you and the rod. It's got to be comfortable, right?
It does.
What makes the Expride grip special?
Shimano's put a lot of thought into the grip design. They use a combination of high-quality cork and EVA foam
Oh, nice.
to make grips that are both comfortable and functional.
Yeah.
They've actually tailored the grip style to the specific rod.
Really? So it's not just like a one-size-fits-all grip they slap on every rod?
No, no, no. For example, those bait finesse models where you need that sensitivity and wrist action,
Yeah.
they often have shorter grips, sometimes even split grips.
Okay, and why is that?
Gives you better control for those delicate presentations.
Makes sense.
Huh.
What about the heavier rods?
The heavier casting rods for those big fish, heavy cover,
Yeah.
they have longer grips, often full grips, for better leverage and power when you're fighting those tough fish.
So they've really thought about how the grip affects the whole performance of the rod.
They have.
Let's talk about rod power and action for a minute.
Right.
Those terms get thrown around a lot.
They do.
Sometimes people use them interchangeably.
Yeah, it can be confusing.
Can you break it down for us?
Absolutely. So, rod power refers to how much force it takes to bend the rod.
Okay.
It's usually categorized as light, medium, heavy, and so on.
Right.
A lighter power rod bends more easily.
Yeah.
A heavier power rod takes more muscle to bend.
Okay, so power is about how much effort it takes to bend the rod.
Exactly.
What about action then?
Rod action is all about where the rod bends along its length.
Okay.
It's categorized as fast, moderate, or slow.
Okay.
Fast action rod bends mostly in the tip.
Okay.
Moderate action bends more in the middle. And a slow action rod bends closer to the butt.
So action is about the bending profile of the rod.
That's it.
How does all this apply to the Expride?
Well, Shimano has designed the Exprides with a range of powers and actions to cover pretty much every fishing technique.
Yeah, right.
Like those bait finesse models we talked about.
Yep.
They typically have a lighter power and a faster action,
Okay.
perfect for those delicate presentations.
Makes sense.
And then the heavier rods.
Yeah, the ones from Murray Cod, Barra.
They tend to have a heavier power and a more moderate action
Right.
to give you that backbone and lifting power for those big fish.
So it's all about matching the rod's power and action to what you're going to be doing with it.
That's right.
It sounds like Shimano's done their homework.
They have.
Now, these Expride rods are an investment.
They are.
So let's talk about how to care for them.
Okay. Good idea.
How can we keep them in top shape for years to come?
Proper rod care is essential.
Absolutely.
Luckily, it's not rocket science.
Okay, good.
Just a few simple steps.
All right, give us the rundown. Rod Care 101.
First things first, always rinse your rods with fresh water after each use. Especially if you've been fishing in salt water.
Oh, yeah.
That salt residue can really damage the blank and the components over time.
So, rinse with fresh water. Check.
Next, regularly inspect your rods.
Inspect them. Okay.
Look for any signs of damage. Cracks, chips, loose guides.
Yeah.
It's much easier to fix a small problem early on than wait until it becomes a big one.
So don't just chuck them in the rod locker and forget about them. Regular checkups.
Exactly.
What about storage?
When you're storing your rods, make sure they're properly supported.
Okay.
You don't want them bending or warping.
Right.
A good rod rack or tube can be worth the investment.
Protect your babies.
Protect them.
Now, this is always a big debate. One-piece versus two-piece rods.
The age-old question.
Both have their pros and cons.
They do.
How do we decide?
Well, one-piece rods.
Yeah.
They tend to have a slightly more seamless feel. Better power transmission. They feel more like a single unit. Some anglers really like that.
I get that. You feel more connected. Right.
But two-piece rods are just so much easier for travel.
They are. Especially if you're limited on space or you're moving around a lot.
And the good news is, two-piece technology has come a long way.
It has.
So the gap in performance between one-piece and two-piece is much smaller now.
Much smaller. Shimano has done a brilliant job with their two-piece Exprides.
Yeah.
The joints are strong, secure. You don't lose any sensitivity or power.
So anglers who go for the two-piece option, they don't have to compromise on performance.
Not at all. They're getting all the benefits of the Expride series, whether they choose one-piece or two-piece.
Brilliant. So it's win-win.
It is.
It really comes down to personal preference and practicality then.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about something that's often overlooked, the reel seat.
Okay.
It's what connects the reel to the rod.
Yep.
And it plays a big role in how sensitive and comfortable the rod feels, right?
It does.
What makes the Expride reel seat stand out?
Shimano's chosen CI4 Plus reel seats for the Expride series. CI4 Plus worse. That's the good stuff.
It is. It's lightweight, incredibly rigid,
Okay.
and it's fantastic at transmitting those vibrations.
So you're saying the reel seat actually helps with the overall sensitivity?
Absolutely. You'll feel those subtle bites, changes in structure, everything.
So it's not just about holding the reel securely.
Nope.
It's like an extension of the blank, almost.
It's like a direct line to the fish.
Wow, that's amazing.
And on top of that, CI4 Plus is really comfortable in the hand.
Oh, yeah. Gotta think about that.
Reduces fatigue during those long sessions.
Shimano's thought of everything. Now, this is another one of those angler debates. Split grips versus full grips.
It's a classic.
What are the advantages of each, and how does Shimano approach this with the Exprides?
Well, split grips are generally lighter than full grips.
Okay.
And they can provide better balance and sensitivity.
Right.
Especially for those techniques that require a lot of wrist action.
Yeah.
So finesse fishing, twitching, jigging,
Yeah.
split grips might be the way to go.
And some people just prefer how they feel.
Exactly.
Okay, so split grips have their advantages. What about full grips?
Full grips, more traditional feel.
Yeah?
They give you better leverage, more power for fighting fish,
Yeah, okay.
especially those bigger species. They're also generally more durable, better for heavy-duty stuff.
Makes sense.
So if you're all about power and durability, full grips might be the way to go.
Yeah.
But again, it comes down to personal preference. Some anglers just find them more comfortable and secure.
So it really depends on what you're using the rod for
It does.
and what you like.
Exactly.
And Shimano's done what with this?
Well, they've got both split grip and full grip options in the Expride series.
Right.
It depends on the specific rod and what it's designed for.
Okay, so they're not pushing one design over the other.
Nope.
It's about the right grip for the job.
Horses for courses.
Now let's talk about the dreaded rod breakage.
Oh, no!
It's a nightmare, especially with a high-end rod like an Expride.
It would be.
What are some of the most common causes?
Okay, high sticking.
High sticking, yeah.
That's when you lift the rod too high.
Okay.
Puts a lot of stress on the blank, especially with a heavy fish on.
You're asking for trouble.
You are.
So keep that rod tip down. What else?
Slamming the rod against hard surfaces.
I've seen people do that.
The boat gunwale, the ground.
Yeah.
Those little impacts can weaken the rod over time.
Right.
Might not seem like much at the time, but it can lead to breakage down the track.
Treat your rods with respect.
Yes. And use the right amount of force when you're fighting a fish.
Okay.
Don't try to muscle it in.
Yeah.
Use a smooth, controlled pumping motion.
Okay.
Less stress on the rod, and you're more likely to land that fish safely.
Work smarter, not harder.
Exactly. And remember those regular inspections.
Oh, yeah. Those are important.
Catching a small crack early can prevent a major headache later.
So, regular inspections are key. What else can we do?
Choose the right rod for the job. Don't try to use a lightweight finesse rod to wrestle a grouper out of a reef.
Don't overload it.
Match the rod's power and action to the fish you're targeting.
Okay.
That can make a big difference.
Now, what if the worst happens?
Oh, no.
You've done everything right, but the rod still breaks.
It happens.
Is all hope lost?
Not necessarily. A lot of manufacturers, Shimano included,
Yeah.
they offer good warranty programs.
Yeah.
They can cover repairs, replacements, especially if it wasn't your fault.
That's reassuring.
So even if the rod does break, there's a
Mhm.
good chance for a happy ending.
All right. Now let's have some fun.
Okay.
Customizing rods,
Ah, yes.
adding decorative wraps, upgrading components, making it your own. What are your thoughts on rod customization?
I think it's great. It's a
Yeah.
way to personalize your gear.
Yeah.
And the Exprides, with their sleek design, those high-quality components,
Yeah.
they're a great platform for customization.
So what are some popular mods?
Well, a common one is replacing the hook keeper
Oh, yeah, the hook keeper.
with something more functional
Right.
or just something that looks cooler.
Right.
There are so many different hook keepers out there.
There are.
Simple wire designs, magnetic models, all sorts.
So you can enhance the functionality,
Yeah,
but also add a bit of your own style.
exactly. Another popular mod is adding decorative wraps to the blank.
Yeah, I've seen those.
You can use colored thread, metallic tape, even custom printed designs.
It's like turning your rod into a work of art.
It is.
It can be practical, too.
Right.
Helps you identify your rods quickly.
Yep.
Or add some grip in certain areas.
Exactly. What about upgrading components?
Yeah. Can you actually improve the performance of an Expride?
Well, they come with top-notch components already,
Yeah.
but some anglers might want to fine-tune things even further.
Okay, give me an example.
You could replace the standard reel seat
Okay.
with a lighter or more ergonomic model.
Right.
Could boost that sensitivity even more and reduce fatigue.
So tailoring it to your individual needs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for those who are really obsessed with sensitivity, they
Mhm.
might upgrade the guides.
The guides, right.
Go for something lighter, smoother.
So even a rod as refined as the Expride can benefit from some fine-tuning.
Absolutely. The beauty of customization is that you can create a rod that's truly yours.
Yeah.
Reflects your fishing style, your personality.
It's like taking a high-performance car and adding your own custom touches.
I like that analogy.
Now let's talk about something that's incredibly important. Ethics in fishing.
Absolutely.
From catch and release to responsible gear disposal, there are so many ways to ensure that we're fishing sustainably,
We have to.
protecting our waters
Yeah.
for future generations.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on ethical fishing practices?
Ethical fishing is absolutely essential.
It is.
It's about recognizing that we have a responsibility to protect those resources,
Yeah.
the very resources that we depend on for our sport.
So it's not just about catching fish.
Nope.
It's about being responsible stewards of our aquatic environments.
Exactly.
And how can we do that with those Expride rods?
Well, one of the most important things is catch and release,
Catch and release.
especially for species that are under pressure
Yeah.
or have limited populations.
So if we're lucky enough to land a trophy fish on an Expride, we should think seriously about letting it go.
Absolutely.
Let it fight another day.
And when you are practicing catch and release,
Yeah.
handle those fish with care.
Yeah.
Minimize air exposure.
Right.
Make sure it goes back in the water quickly and safely.
Treat them with respect.
Yes.
They're not just objects. They're living creatures.
Exactly.
And another important part is responsible gear disposal.
That's right.
Our old fishing line, lures, hooks, you got to be mindful of that.
Definitely.
What's the best way to dispose of our old fishing line?
Keep an eye out for those designated fishing line recycling bins. You're seeing more and more of those at boat ramps and fishing spots these days.
That's good.
And if you can't find a bin,
Yeah.
dispose of it responsibly in the trash.
Okay, recycle or trash.
Exactly.
What about lures and hooks?
Same thing. Chuck them in the trash. Make sure they're not going to harm any wildlife.
So it's all about being aware of our impact
It is.
and taking steps to minimize it.
Minimize it.
What else?
Respect fishing regulations and catch limit.
Oh yeah, the rules are there for a reason.
They are.
Follow the rules.
They ensure the sustainability of our fisheries.
Don't be greedy. Take what you need.
And if you're ever unsure about a particular regulation,
Yeah.
don't guess.
Yeah.
Check with your local fisheries authority.
Solid advice. Now let's talk about the beauty of the natural world.
Ah, yes.
We're out on the water, surrounded by nature's splendor. It's easy to feel a sense of awe and connection.
It is.
How do you think the Expride rods enhance that experience?
There's something special about fishing with a finely crafted rod.
Yeah.
One that feels like an extension of your hand.
Yeah.
A conduit to that underwater world.
I like that.
And the Exprides, with their sensitivity, their balance, their responsiveness, they really amplify that connection.
So it's not just about catching fish.
No.
It's about immersing ourselves in the experience,
It is.
appreciating the beauty that's all around us.
The Expride rods let you feel every little nuance, every tap, every vibration.
Wow.
They bring you closer to the fish and their environment.
It's like they unlock a whole new level of perception.
They do.
We feel more deeply.
We connect more intimately.
Yeah.
And when you're tuned in to those subtle cues,
Yeah.
you become more than just an angler.
What do you mean?
You become a participant
Wow.
in that underwater ballet,
Beautiful.
part of that natural rhythm.
That's a great way to put it.
It's about moving beyond just catching fish,
Yeah.
embracing the whole experience.
The holistic experience. Now, as we wrap up our deep dive into the Expride series,
Okay.
I want to go back to the idea of value.
Value.
These rods are an investment.
They are.
But what does true value mean?
That's a great question.
Is it just about the price tag? Or is there something more?
I think true value goes way beyond the price. It's about the quality, the craftsmanship, the performance,
Yeah.
the enjoyment you get from using it.
The memories.
Exactly.
Those unforgettable moments.
And I think the Exprides really embody that idea of value.
They do.
They're beautifully made, they perform at the highest level,
Yeah.
and they have the potential to take your fishing to a whole new level.
They're not just tools.
Yep.
They're investments in our passion,
That's it.
our connection with the water,
Exactly.
that pursuit of those incredible moments.
Well said.
All right, folks, we've cast a wide net today, exploring the Shimano Expride rod series. Cutting-edge technology, angler-centric design, impressive real-world performance. These rods have earned their reputation as top performers in the Aussie fishing scene.
No doubt about it.
Whether you're after bream in an estuary, barras in those snaggy rivers,
Yep.
or heading offshore for snapper, there's an Expride rod designed for you.
There is.
So if you're keen to step up your fishing game, experience that Expride magic, head over to Shimano's website or visit your local tackle shop.
Yep.
Check out the full range.
Do it.
And be sure to join us next time on Down Under Angler as we tackle the age-old debate. Bait casters versus spinning reels.
Oh, that's a good one.
Which one will reign supreme in Aussie waters? Tune. It's amazing, isn't it?
What is?
How your fishing gear, it becomes more than just like equipment.
Oh, yeah.
It's part of your story, your memories. You get a good rod, and it's like you're writing the next chapter of your fishing journey with it.
I totally get that. A well-loved rod, it's more than just an object. It's seen it all with you. Those heart-stopping strikes, the battles won and lost.
Press sunsets, you know?
Exactly, those stunning sunsets while you're waiting for a bite.
Yeah. The silent partner in all those adventures. Speaking of gear,
Okay.
let's talk about lures for a minute.
Lures.
There are so many new lures coming out all the time.
I know.
And they all claim to be the ultimate fish catcher.
The magic bullet.
Yeah. How do we choose the right ones?
Well, it can be overwhelming, that's for sure.
It is.
But I think there are 3 key things to remember.
Okay, hit me.
First, you got to understand what the rod can do.
Right. The rod's capabilities.
Second, think about the fish you're targeting.
Yeah, the species.
And third, keep up with what's happening in the lure world.
Okay, so let's break that down. How do we match lures to what the rod can handle?
Each Expride rod has a specific lure weight and action rating.
Right.
You'll find that info printed on the rod itself or in the specs online. Choose lures that fall within that recommended range.
So don't try to chuck a massive barrel lure on a rod that's meant for bream.
Exactly. That's a recipe for disaster.
You could break it.
You could, or your casting will be all over the place.
Yeah.
Match the lure to the rod.
Okay, makes sense. Now, how about the target species?
Different fish eat different things.
Of course.
Figure out what your target species usually eats.
Okay.
That'll help you narrow down your lure choices.
All right. Give me an example.
Say you're chasing flathead.
Yeah.
You might want to try lures that look like prawns, bait fish, maybe even crabs.
So we're trying to mimic what the fish are already looking for.
That's it. You want to trigger that feeding response.
Right.
The more natural your lure looks and moves, the better your chances of success.
Okay, so we've got the rod, we've got the species. Now, how do we keep up with all those lure trends?
The lure game's always changing.
It is.
Stay active in the fishing community.
Okay, how do we do that?
Follow some good fishing publications, go to fishing shows, chat on those online forums.
Right, right.
You'll soon learn what's hot and what's not.
So it's about being a lifelong learner.
Always learn.
The world of fishing's always got something new to teach you.
Yeah.
Now, before we wrap up our Expride deep dive,
Yeah.
I want to touch on something that sometimes gets forgotten. The reel seat.
Ah, the humble reel seat.
Might seem like a small thing,
Mm-hmm.
but it can make a big difference.
It can.
What's so special about the Expride reel seats?
Shimano's gone with CI4 Plus for these reel seats.
Okay, CI4 Plus, remind me again what's so good about it.
CI4 Plus is super lightweight,
Mm-hmm.
but incredibly strong.
Okay.
And it's amazing at transmitting vibrations.
So the reel seat actually adds to the sensitivity of the whole rod.
Absolutely. You'll feel every little nibble,
Wow.
every change in the bottom structure.
Amazing.
It's like having a sixth sense underwater.
I love that. And it's comfortable, too.
Oh, yeah. CI4 Plus is designed to be easy on the hands.
Important for those long days on the water.
Essential.
Shimano's really thought of everything.
They've got it covered.
Well, folks, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
Diving deep into those Shimano Expride rods.
The Expride.
We've looked at the tech, the design, and how they perform in the real world.
Real world performance.
Whether you're a seasoned pro or just getting started, there's an Expride out there for you.
There is.
It can take your fishing to the next level.
Absolutely.
But remember, it's not just about the gear.
It's not.
It's about the experiences we have out on the water, the memories, the respect for the fish and their environment.
Well said.
Get out there, explore your local spots, and see what the Expride magic is all about. And join us next time on Down Under Angler for the ultimate showdown. Baitcasters versus spinning reels. Which one will be crowned the king of Aussie fishing? Tune in to find out.
Until then, tight lines and fair winds to all.